just let us know. There are two things that I think are really important, really important questions. What do you look for when you want to sign a songwriter or a band? What qualities are you looking for in that band or that songwriter?
Besides their demo being wrapped in a $100 bill.
100? Is that cheap?
Yeah. These days, you know, you gotta make a living somehow. Really great question. Ultimately, it comes down to the music. You know, you have to be inspired that the person is going to either is making or is capable of making inspiring music. Then there's a lot of other things that go into it. You know, like I said, with you, it was realizing that you were taking the process or the profession of songwriting more seriously than anybody had ever seen, and more methodically than anybody had ever seen. And that's a sign to me that, you know, that you really wanted it. You know, let's look at a couple of different examples. Like, say, for Sum 41, you know, my company was very involved in the development of that band. And we signed them when I think they were still in high school, or maybe just the tail end of their last year of high school. And the way they came to us, and this is the way it happens an awful lot. And this actually goes back to your very first question of how do you get the attention. So they were a band that was in Oshawa, or Ajax, sorry, which is near Oshawa, and they started following around Treble Charger that had a guy named Greg Norrie in the band, and Greg kind of befriended them and got to know who they were, and they'd show up to all the gigs. And one of Greg's friends was a writer that signed to us. His name is Mark Costanzo, and he had a group called Len. I don't know if you guys remember the song "Steal My Sunshine." It's a big hit for them. And Greg brought Mark out to a Trouble Charger show at a time, and then Mark met the guys and started talking to them, and thought they were pretty interesting characters and really a hungry young band. And Greg and Mark decided that they wanted to try and develop the band. And so right after that decision was made, Greg went on the road with Trouble Charger for like 4 months or something. And so Mark took it upon himself to keep that ball rolling. And Mark came and bugged me and a woman named Barbara Seaton, who used to work for me, and said, you know, this band, you know, there's nothing recorded, it's no good, but there's something there, and they're in high school, and we kind of just, I could see the look in his eyes that he really thought something was there. And so eventually, after bugging us for several weeks, we finally said, okay, we'll go check them out. So we went to Derek Whibley's basement to see the band rehearse. And I thought they were really good. I thought one guy wasn't that good. I think it was the bass player. But we thought there was something really there, and we couldn't really put our finger on it, but there was something there, you know. So, and they actually ended up getting Cone after that. But so we gave Mark, I think, $3,000 just on a handshake to take them into Mellowworks studio and make a demo to see, you know, sit back and listen to the songs in that form and see if it really, you know, stood the test of you know, putting it on wax, so to speak. We really liked the demo. I thought this band was really, you know, a great band. So I offered them a deal. Then Greg came back from the road and saw all this going on and got upset, and he and Mark had a big fight, so Mark bowed out, and then Greg now had taken over. So we sit down with Greg and we said, and what I liked about the band was that just, I don't know, I just liked their vibe and their attitude, and they wrote good melodies. That was the thing, good melodies. And so we strategized what to do with their career, and Greg said, well, you know, they've never really played, so they got to start playing. And then we thought, well, in order to start playing very frequently, they're going to have some sort of a recording out, so let's make an independent record. And then, so Greg actually went out and got some Factor money, and we put up some money, and they started to make an independent record. And then when the record was about 3/4 finished, we were all really excited about how well it was turning out. We thought, wow, this is better than we thought it was going to be. So maybe we could just shop a record deal instead of bypass this whole indie phase. So we started playing it for, you know, one record company, then the next, and everybody was turning them down. And you know, we're sort of incredulous that they're getting turned down, and so we kind of, before we knew it, we had shopped them to every record company in North America. And nobody except for Aquarius Records in Montreal wanted to sign them, and the band didn't want to sign with a small label. So And that actually was a mistake to play it for everybody in the business, because what you do is you get yourself into a hole, and they're trying to tell you something that you might need to tweak your formula or make better music or something, and then but the first impression is everything, and the first impression of everybody in the music business is that you're not good enough. So we had really burnt them out everywhere, and it was, in hindsight, something we just sort of fell into. We didn't realize we were doing it, and because we're so excited about the music. And then the band actually came to us and said, we think we know why nobody wants to sign us. And we said, why? And they said, because they don't understand what characters we are. They hear our music, they think we sound just like Blink-182, and we're a clone of them, and they don't see all the dimensions. And these guys were, as you probably know from their videos and that, they're real characters. So we said, okay, I agree with you. What do you want to do about that? And throughout the time we'd known them, they used to bring in these videotapes of them goofing around and being juvenile delinquents, and one of the guys always had a camcorder like welded to his forehead everywhere he went. And so they said they wanted to take that footage and edit it together into an indie EPK. And I was surprised that they knew the term EPK, which stands for Electronic Press Kit. And so we said, okay, so we gave them, I think, $1,500 to go into a semi-professional editing suite, and they came back about a week later with this 7-minute masterpiece that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. But more importantly than that, and so we took that, then all the same labels who like 3 months before that didn't want to know about them. The same music, now every label in North America wanted to sign it. And the difference was not just that they made this funny video, but that they proved that when you watched this, you just understood instinctively, without anybody saying anything to you, that these guys were A, world-class characters, and B, they knew how to project that through the medium of video. It clearly came from them. They didn't hire somebody to make this video. So that's really, I think, a really, really important thing. Is not only you're talented, but you have character, and that you can project that character, and you have either an instinct for all the media that you have to project that through, or demonstrated mastery of it, or something. Like I look back on my roster, it's been very disproportionately successful from people who had a feel for video. And it was a video era, right? So now this era, we're in the, obviously in the MySpace, Facebook, YouTube era. And I sort of flipped a switch in my brain recently. I said, if I signed all these people that were successful because they had a feel for video in the video era, what attributes do you have to have these days, that's the equivalent of that? And I think, unfortunately, you have to have everything you used to have. And video is really important on the internet, so you still have to have a mastery of video, but then you also have to have a feel for the internet, a feel how to work social networking. And I used to have a sign on my desk that said, God helps bands who help themselves. And I really, really, really believe that. And this is an era now where there's never been more important, and you've never had more tools than ever to get somewhere yourself and make that noise by yourself without any involvement from or help from what we consider to be the music industry. But unfortunately, that's the good news, that you can do it. The bad news is you've got to do it.